to. Don't look at him for more than 3 seconds. Don't ask personal questions. Lila only nodded. She worked quietly, diligently, straightening the edge of a tablecloth, polishing door handles, aligning pens in the exact direction he preferred. There was no laughter in that mansion, no music, no sign of life beyond work and silence. It didn't take long for her to realize that Travis Holt wasn't just wealthy. He had built a fortress of solitude around himself. One afternoon, while replacing the flowers in his study, the door suddenly opened. Travis entered, coat draped over one shoulder, the faint scent of rain and smoke following him. Startled, Lila turned. The crystal vase slipped from her hands and shattered across the floor. She gasped, kneeling to gather the shards. "I'm so sorry. I'll replace it." "No need," he said, his voice low, detached. "It's just an object." He sat down and opened his laptop. The glow of the screen cast a pale blue on his cheek. Lila stayed crouched, her fingers bleeding slightly where a shard had cut her. He frowned, glancing her way. "You're hurt." "It's nothing. Just a scratch. Go wash your hands. I'll have the butler clean up." His tone wasn't exactly kind, but for a fleeting second, she sensed that beneath the detachment, there was still a man capable of noticing another person. In the days that followed, she began to notice small things about him. Travis worked past midnight every night. He ate quickly, rarely spoke to anyone, and often sat for hours by the window overlooking the city. The light reflecting in his storm-gray eyes, cold yet unbearably sad. Once she dared to ask, "Would you like me to switch your coffee to a lighter roast, Mr. Holt? This one's rather strong." He looked at her over the rim of his glasses but didn't respond. The next morning, when she brewed the same blend, he said quietly, "Keep the one from yesterday." It was indirect but clear enough. He noticed her, more than he wanted to admit. 2 years passed like that. Quiet, repetitive, yet within the silence, something fragile began to grow. Lila didn't know why. Out of all the staff, she was the only one allowed into his study each morning. She never dared to think beyond her duties, but every time he said, "Thank you," those 2 small words, her heart skipped a beat. And Travis, though he would never admit it, started to feel that her presence made the house a little less empty. She didn't speak much, but she seemed to understand even the words he never said. He grew accustomed to waking up to an organized desk, coffee placed exactly right, and a small lavender bloom in a glass jar by the window. Only when she took 2 sick days did he realize what absence truly felt like. One February evening, the courtyard was blanketed in snow. Travis returned from a long shareholders meeting, his expression heavy, the scent of whiskey lingering in the air. Lila was still in the kitchen, finishing up. "You're still awake?" he asked. "I wanted to make sure the kitchen's clean before tomorrow morning, sir." He poured himself another drink, voice softer now. "How long have you worked here, Lila?" "Almost 2 years, sir." 2 years, he repeated, eyes pausing on her face. "You're not afraid of me?" "No," she said, smiling faintly. "I'm only afraid of not doing my job right." He chuckled quietly, a rare sound in that frozen house. But the smile faded quickly. He drained his glass and set it down with a sharp clink. As she stepped forward to clear the table, his hand brushed hers. For a heartbeat, silence. They both froze. Travis looked down the warm yellow light, catching her brown eyes, reflected faintly in the silver of his own. Something small but undeniable sparked between them. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet crack in the ice. She drew her hand back. "I'm sorry." "No, it's me." He turned away, voice lower. "You should get some rest, Lila." But that night, as he walked down the long hallway to his room, he couldn't stop seeing her eyes in his mind. Those warm brown eyes, the only thing still alive in a house made of frost. That night, the rain seemed endless. Raindrops struck the glass windows of the Holt mansion, shattering into 1,000 glimmers that caught the reflections of the city's distant lights. New York lay under a chill fog, and the mansion, as always, remained perfectly still. The clock on the wall showed midnight. Lila was still in the kitchen, tidying the spice rack, wiping tiny droplets off the marble counter. The sound of the wind outside filled the silence inside her chest. This work had become her habit, to clean, to organize, to stay busy. Because the moment she stopped, she would remember her mother and the hospital bills still unpaid. The front door opened. The sharp sound of footsteps echoed across the marble floor. Travis Holt had returned. He didn't turn on the bright lights, only the soft amber glow from the hall. His coat was soaked from the rain, his tie loosened, and one hand held a half bottle of whiskey. The gala that night had been a failure. The deal with the Swiss conglomerate he'd spent 6 months negotiating had collapsed. The media would talk, shareholders would whisper, competitors would smirk. But all he wanted was for the noise to stop. Travis stopped at the doorway of the kitchen. The white ceiling light illuminated Lila's face as she folded a dish towel, her back slightly bent, a few strands of hair falling across her cheek. He stood there for a long moment, saying nothing, just listening to the rain and the faint clink of a spoon in the sink. "You're still up?" he asked, voice rough, thick with